back again for a new season of the audio podcast. This week in show number 69, bang, season starts. We talk interfaces. We talk anniversaries. There are even some shotguns. There's a regular face reappearing and a regular face missing. Ooh, see what's going to unfold in the audio podcast. Hear that? Can you hear that rumbling in the distance? It's coming closer. It's coming closer. It's the bang season starts. I don't know if there's supposed to be an exclamation there, an exclamation mark. Bang season starts.
Or is it the bang season? Who knows?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, who came up with the name? Was it Scott?
It was Scott, yeah.
No. So let's explain what's going on here. Scott is away at ICMC, which we think is in Lithuania this year, but we're not sure.
No, it's in Slovenia.
Slovenia, okay.
Yeah.
Apologies for that error. So this week we have myself, Adam Jansch, and
Samuel Freeman. I'm back. Hello.
Way!
The audio podcast has been away for a couple of weeks, and I've been away for a couple of weeks longer than that. Hey, we're back, and as unprepared as ever.
Excellent to see you again.
It is good to be back, and I'm in a new space. This is a temporary place, but I'm here, and it's all good. We have internet and everything.
For you audio-only listeners, the wall behind Sam right now is very red. Very red indeed. So, yeah, you might be being saved your eyes by just listening. So, anyway, yes, we're going to get started. I don't know what apart from the season starts thing, I don't really know if there's much significance behind the title. So maybe we should just get going and start with the news section.
The news. So I think we've tried to keep the news as things that have happened in the past week rather than the past 3 weeks, and then there's some older stuff in the plunder. So the first currenty thing is that PreSonus are giving free upgrades if you buy one of their enormous desks. So the Studio Live desks, which are 16 or 24 channels, if you buy that, which bundles with Studio One Artist, you can get a free upgrade to the Studio One Producer thing, which would normally cost you 200 quid or dollars or whatever. So
that is excellent. That is excellent. Now, actually, last week I did install Studio One Professional, the free trial, and had a little play with it. And actually, yeah, I was kind of like, not too bad. It's interesting because it's nice and simple, but it has just about all the things there that I use myself, and it's got a good healthy set of effects. The routing's kind of interesting. So as a software program, I'm very interested in keeping going with the demo and seeing what can come with it. As for the mixing desks, I had a look at them online, and they look pretty powerful. Are those like OLED screens they have above the faders?
Yeah, so above the fader, they've got this section which they call the fat channel or something like that. And I haven't actually. If I go to the thing, let's use the proper thing. Yeah. Oh, I haven't got that. Okay. Yeah, I think they call it the fat channel. So you've got a channel strip at the bottom for each of your channels, and then at the top you've got the gains for all of those things. But then in the middle you've got this fat channel which has got all of the EQ and compressor and everything. And so above the top of the faders, you've got your mute and solo plus select buttons, and you can select which one channel you're looking at a time to have encoders for all the settings. So instead of everything being through tiny windows, you've got hands-on control to one channel at a time, and you flick between them. And these are FireWire connected to your computer, so to get the in and out.
Because yes, that's right. Because they're not just mixing desks; they're also audio interfaces in the vein of that kind of product that's been around for quite a while. So probably very useful for the live side. One thing I thought was FireWire. That's interesting because now audio interfaces are moving towards USB, and I guess in the year next year or the year after, we'll be looking at Thunderbolt. So is FireWire going to be an issue if you want to keep this desk for, say, 10 years or something like that?
I don't think so. I think that the mythical adapters that'll let you change from one to the other, from FireWire to well, they're not that mythical. You do exist. I think that become more available. I think it'll be all right.
I
I think
like
there's
your.
so much of this. There's so much of this stuff around, and like I don't know, FireWire 400 onto 800 works perfectly fine, and
So no problems then. I like your optimism. I like it. It's good.
oh,
If it were a USB thing, I think we'd be a little bit more. Oh, I don't know. But FireWire is pretty rock solid. So that's the free upgrade to Studio Live for Studio Live Mixer customers to a better version of Studio One. We can follow that up with the Universal Audio annual promotion. Now, I've never heard of this. Is this the first time they've done this, or is it actually an annual thing?
keep going, Adam. It's all broken up. I don't know what you just said, but I'm sure it'll
Oh,
reconnect.
yes, yes. I just had you pause. I said something. The Universal Audio annual promotion. Is this the first year they've done it? Is it a rolling thing, or are they just starting off?
Who knows? I haven't had a chance to look up if it existed last year, but next year we'll be able to look back in the show notes and find it. I don't remember mentioning it last year, but we talked about so many things. So what is the promotion? The promotion is save 20% on stuff.
It's particular plugins of theirs which I think are more geared towards emulations of things like tape emulations, Studer, Ampex, plugins, and other kinds of things. So maybe not. I don't think it's every plugin they do, but there are very certain particular plugins of theirs that are in the offer, and they say that you don't need a code. All you have to do is put the particular plugin that has the offer on it into your basket, and the 20% is automatically applied. That's nice. That's like,
And this and the same as with the PreSonus thing. These are both available to the end of September 2012.
oh, so what are we on now? We're on the 10th. So you have 3 weeks, people. 3 weeks. Excellent. Now this is one that I put in. So this year, in fact, just recently, probably a few days ago, marked the 100th, or would have marked the 100th birthday of John Cage, experimental composer John Cage. And to mark this, a prepared piano app has been released for iOS devices, iPhone, iPad, and also for Android. So that kind of marks John Cage's 100th birthday. Have you had a look at this one?
I've had a little look, but right now I've opened the wrong tab. I'm looking at sonatas and interludes, which is what the prepared piano things are, but I can't tell you anything about the app right now because it's not on my screen.
It looks like there are 2 versions. There's a free version which is kind of limited, and then there's a paid version. And I think it's really geared towards a very particular part, because John Cage's repertoire really covers. He was conceptual. He had a concept of what he wanted to do, but he tended to manifest it in many different ways. So I think this app really focuses on the prepared piano thing, which is something he's really known for, but is one slice of John Cage. So that's the Cage Prepared Piano app. Of course, if you'd like to link through to any of these things to find out where they are, we're not going to read them out to you now, because no one likes listening to links being read to them. Head to, oh, I'm just about to say a link, aren't I? Head to theaudiopodcast.co.uk, go to show 69, and all of the links are there for you to click on, and you can look back at the show notes. I mean, we're basically running off them right now, so it's live.
We are indeed.
So
cool.
Yeah, audiopodcast.co.uk. What's next, Sam?
Well, we've got new interfaces, so this time we are in USB land, and Focusrite have 2 new interfaces out, the Forte and the iTrack Solo. So
Indeed.
the Forte is 2 in 4 out thing.
It's another one that has these little OLED kind of, they look like they're just like normal meters, but I think they do a lot more than just um, they're more than just lights. They're actual proper screens in there. And you know what? Can you tell me what you think that looks like? The Forte.
Well, it looks like the old Apogee thing, doesn't it?
It
Like the
looks a little bit
single
like
knob. And,
yeah, it looks a little bit like an Apogee Duet. So I think there's a little bit of wink, wink, nice design. We're gonna kind of borrow that from you.
but I think there's probably lots of interfaces out there that have like, although the Apogee thing is kind of sticks in the mind, mostly much the older Native Instruments thing, the one that Sam Burkhead's got, that's got a single big controller on the top as well, hasn't it? So
Oh
it's,
yeah, 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 yeah.
that's definitely
I
older than the
I
Apogee one.
know
So.
what one you're talking about. It's interesting to note a little side away from the news here. I was thinking this when I was looking at these interfaces, and the one that we're going to talk about after the Focusrite ones. In the last, I don't know what, 3 or 4 years, interface design has really gone up a notch. It used to always just be 1U racks. It was or it was rack based, so 1U, 2U rack, or half U rack, and all the controls were on the front, all of the connectivity was on the back. Now we're getting this to this point where we've got kind of desktop type controllers, a lot more of them, ones that are raked, angled. What's that one that, it might be the Native Instruments one, that looks like it's a wedge, but it looks amazing. It's like milled aluminium, and it just looks incredible. Maybe no, maybe that's a propeller heads one. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
the balance is kind of like a right angle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Looks fantastic. And Apogee, of course, are doing these different kinds of design. We're thinking about not having to have all of these interfaces actually plugged into a rack, but you can have them on your desktop and have the controllability of them right by your hand. And I think it's an interesting thing to see how the audio interfaces have been moving from the rack towards the desktop, and also to make them portable.
So the portability and the fact that they're being sold on their aesthetic design as something to look at and have next to you on your desk or on when you're performing or whatever it is, it's something that you want to have and touch. It's something that you're going to be dealing with a lot. Yeah, people are not working in racks so much these days, perhaps, or at least there's probably more of a market of the. I mean,
Yeah.
you still do get the rack things, of course, but the type of stuff
Well,
you're
yeah.
referring to is the desktop based.
And I think there's a lot of the way they're made. It's like saying, look, we've designed this one and it looks like nothing else. And that's one way to tear someone away from a 1U rack that just sits there and looks ugly on your desk. And it's like, oh, look at this. This is actually something significant. This is, and this is, you link this directly to our company. So it's nice to see a bit of creative design coming in there. Unfortunately, the other Focusrite interface that we're going to talk about now, the iTrack Solo, looks a little bit like an old M Audio type one that you'd buy in an Apple store. So, Focusrite have got a kind of nice new design, and then they've kind of stuck with an old school, looks like a half or third width 1U rack type thing. But I think it's a slightly different. Do you know what the details are on this iTrack Solo?
So it's got one microphone preamp plus a line in which you can plug a guitar in should you want to. So that's quite an interesting combination. I mean, it's quite an obvious thing. Like they're plugging it as ideal for guitars and vocal, but you often get two microphone preamps with the combi things on them. But here they've gone for dedicated one preamp, one line in. So, and then on the output, I think it's just stereo. But I haven't got the details on that. But I used to have.
Oh well, it would have to be at least stereo.
But only stereo rather than having other options.
Having multiples. So this is a proper, let's just sling it in your bag and you can record your guitar in the park if you really wanted to type. I mean, they used to try and sell audio interfaces on that ideal, and I just don't think people work like that.
Except that this is for your iPad.
Ah.
This is not a USB interface, so it probably is under the hood, as it were, but it's connecting to an iPad. That's what it's made for.
Ah, right. So that's the swing. That's why this is the USP of the Focusrite iTrack Solo, I imagine. And we will follow this up with, we were just talking about the Apogee Duet and how it's a really bold design, and how the Forte, the Focusrite Forte, kind of rips off the design a little bit. It doesn't really rip off. It's more paying homage, I would say. It's not like really blatant. Um, Apogee have also, or will be releasing, what have they done? They've announced this week the Apogee Quartet, which is actually a bit more than two duos put together.
Yeah. So here you've got 4 preamps, which they're saying are good, and then you've also got ADAT in and out. So that's a lot of.
Let me stop you right there.
How are you
ADAT in
Is it,
only.
is it just ADAT in? Sorry.
Just
Oh yeah.
in.
And then,
Yeah, I saw the back panel and I was like, oh, okay, ADAT in out. Then I looked at the text and it was just digital in, and it's got 2 ports, so it can do SMUX. SMUX.
but only on the input. And so for the output, you've got 6 analog outputs, which is enough to do 5.1.
And I think, like Motu, they count their headphone out as a pair of outputs too, so makes it 8 in the end.
Okay.
But again, I mean, this is like we were just talking about a kind of new kind of design, raked up, kind of wedge-shaped thing with the nice OLED meters on the side, a nice big dial on the right hand side, and you can just whack it down next to your computer, and it's there. And
yep. And although there's touch buttons on there, so below the LED displays there is touch controls for accessing other parts.
Yes, you're right.
To set
That's right, because
the knob's doing.
It's numbered, isn't it? There are 4 numbers. Are those pre? Can you assign those to?
There's 3. There's the ones that are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4 are fixed, and then there's 2 others to do the output that are fixed. But then is it A, B, and C? They're labelled. I've only got the mini picture up right now, but they are assignable. So you can. So there is 3 assignable button, like touch pads, touch buttons, touch points.
Excellent. And the one thing about the other thing to mention, it's USB, but it's supposedly Mac only at this time.
Yeah, I think all of the Apogee stuff is Mac only, isn't it? It's like seems to be their philosophy is just to not even bother trying to make it cross-platform.
Well,
I could be wrong about their other products, but I remember that it's definitely something like the Duo and stuff was. Well, this one is definitely Mac only.
Well, and the other thing we can say about Apogee products is that they're high quality, and they come with a high quality price tag. What is the price, the projected price for the Apogee Quartet?
Well, either in euros or dollars, they're asking for 1,295 of them.
So that's a decent whack, but you'll get. I'm sure you'll get the quality. You'll get the reason why it's so expensive. I know people who have the Duet, and they say it's just amazing, like stunning quality and all this kind of thing. So
and that gives you 2 preamps, doesn't it?
Yes, and this is double that, and you get you can plug more in via the ADAT, of course. So if you want to run some kind of converter, you can put 8 or 4 depending on what version of ADAT you're going to run. Okay, so we come to the end of hardware, but no, we don't come to the end of hardware, because the last item in the news is very, very, very hardware, and it didn't twig until just now. Take it away, Sam.
Korg UK are celebrating 10 years of their micro Korg. So it was 2002 when the micro Korg was first released, and when it was 5 years old, they did the special edition reverse coloured keys thing with the black and white on the keys reverse. And now that they've got to 10 years, they've got limited edition colour variations. So they've got red and black or black and black on all of their micro keyboards. So that's the Micro Korg, the Micro Korg XL, the Micro Key, and the other micro key, so the two micro key things. So yeah, a whole line of red and black coloured things for a limited time only, available in November.
Oh, my birthday's in November. No, I don't think so. I mean, I like Korg stuff, and actually, I had an MS-2000, one of their very earlier and virtual analog synths. Oh, I loved it. It's still one of my favorite synths because it was covered in dials and controls, and the keyboard was just there, and it had the little wooden end cheeks, and it was a great little synth. It was the only limitation was it was only 4 voice poly, and I think the first microKORG was the MS-2000, but in a smaller box. If I'm thinking of the right product, am I thinking of the right product? It was basically just a small keyboard, a smaller keyboard version of the MS-2000 engine. Well, I'll just have to say that that's the case, and if I'm wrong, someone will tell us, and I'll get rebutted next week or the week after. But yeah, so 10th anniversary of the microKORG, special edition microKORGs coming out in November 2012. Check out the website, ours and Korg's, for more information. And now we can move safely into the plunder. Wow. And we start with one that I put in, which is great. I'm starting to get my claws into some of these things. Yes, ad hoc drew my attention to the update of the Native Instruments machine, which is a drum. Basically, it's kind of more a drum sample library thing, but it comes with this awesome hardware controller as well. And they've
the machine's come up a few times on the audio podcast, and every time we always say we're not quite sure what this is, and the main reason for that is that we'll dislike going to the Native Instruments website. But this was not on there, and it's come with this. There was a great video included in the now old news story of that stuff being updated.
Oh yeah, the video is great. The video is basically a chap who I'm informed his name is Jeremy Ellis, and he's basically just there, like setting up this whole set of grooves on 1 or 2 machines, and he's just bopping along, having such a great time. And you can see like the interfaces, because they've got all these coloured buttons now. I think that might be a new feature with the update.
It does look quite nice how when you're changing what it is that your pads are triggering, like you can have the backlit with different colours, and so you're navigating through.
And it's
visual,
as far as the video goes, it's a very simple idea. Let's build up a track. We'll have the guy just do a performance, but it's actually very well done. The video, it kind of keeps you interested. There's stuff, kind of lights happening on in the background, and it's all very cool. So yeah, I recommend definitely heading to the audiopodcast.co.uk website and jam on this video of Jeremy Ellis working on the new version of the machine. Go for it.
Now then, music. Too free to be expensive, too expensive to be free. I don't want to dwell on this, I never do, but I saw it, and I think it's actually was written this week, but I put it in the plunder rather than news, because it's just another story commenting on streaming services like Spotify and how much they do or don't pay artists eventually via their publishers. And yeah, I thought it was nicely written and worth mentioning, but perhaps not dwelling upon. Did you have a chance to read this?
I didn't, because I looked through the notes on my lunch break today. This wasn't in there, so I hadn't read that. But I have read the next one, and when I saw the title, I thought, going back to the audio podcast classic sound libraries, I thought it was going to be about someone recording the sound of shotguns. The title of the piece is "Shotguns Indoors, a Bad Idea," and I just thought it was going to be someone sampling shotguns and someone firing shotguns at something and like trying to record it. But it's not about that. It's about getting good quality results from using a shotgun microphone indoors.
And now, when I saw the title of this and clicked through, I did Today, when I read the title, I had what you said and kind of thought, oh, that kind of looks like we're talking about guns there. But the first time when I saw Shotgun Indoor Bio, I instantly went to what it is about. Because shotgun microphones are designed for eliminating background noise and atmospheric noise and just focusing on what is in front of them, highly directional things, and not using them indoors because of all the reflections off of walls kind of is something I've never considered, but from the title then I got the idea there. There you go. Yeah, again, a nicely written article. Very. It's got a good mix of kind of like history and then theory and then general stuff. Not too long.
General geekiness, I suppose.
General geekiness, yeah.
Now, all we need to do to take the geekiness up to the next level, to turn it up a notch, is for Scott Hewitt, who I'm sure will listen to this before next week, to actually find a sample library of someone firing a shotgun and put it in next week's show. So, well, we'll see. We'll see if that actually happens. So there we go. We have made it to the end of this week's audio podcast, the first of the new season. I suppose next week Scott will be back. I will be unavailable next week because I'll be on a train, probably between at this time maybe between London and Bristol, something like that. So I'm not going to be here. I suppose you're going to be here, Sam.
I'll be here. I don't know where I'll be physically, but I will be on Tinterweb recording through the Google Hangout as usual. And yeah, I'll catch everybody then.
Excellent, excellent. So, episode 69 of the audio podcast. I have been Adam Yanch.
And I am Samuel Freeman.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.